Hey everyone, it's Dan at SPE Motorsport. On this week's product spotlight, we're going to go over super duper high flow ram air quadra port extreme strong turbinator diff covers. Differential covers. So 10.5 inch Sterling rear, 10 1/4, 10.5, 90 to, I think it ends up being like 2019-ish for the rear diff, and the front diff is a Dana 60. So it's also like 90 to 25 or some crazy year range. That'll be on the site. Information will be there. Just as any other product that SPE does, one of our major things that we like to cover is functionality. You know, a lot of us at SPE, we're either techs at one point, engineers, mechanics, whatever you want to call it. We've all wrenched on our vehicles. We know what things take and what we like and dislike about whether it being a factory component or whether it's a competitor's component. We know what we like and don't like. So some of the stuff that we did with the differential covers was obviously beefing them up. You know, it's a cast cover. The factory ones are actually die cast, and you know, these are just a flow cast. A356 aluminum, you know, nothing too crazy with a T6 heat treat. But one of the things that we do is obviously the O-ring groove, which we do with most of our cast products when we can. The other thing that drives us crazy, well, to start with, is the draining of the differential cover. So, you know, if you want to service your diff cover, one of the things that sucks, as everybody knows, you're pulling all the bolts out and you try to leave that one in at the top, and then you pop it loose and all the fluid comes out. So obviously we want a drain hole, but we want a drain hole that when we need to change the fluid, we want a drain hole that's going to drain the whole diff, right? You don't want to leave fluid in there. You don't want to have it in the pocket. So what we do is we actually spend a lot of time on setup for machining so that the actual hole to drain this is at the very edge of the differential cover. So that hole is as close as we can get it to this edge so that anything that's in there, you're draining out. You're getting as much out of there as you can without having to actually remove the diff cover. So that's a huge thing for us. And it's an NPT thread. So if you ever mess up, you know, yeah, we could O-ring them, we could put our own custom plugs in there, but the reason we stick with the NPT plugs and a lot of our pans and cast products is if you have an issue with it, it's easy to replace. You know, it's a simple plug that you can find anywhere. So that is a huge thing. Also, filling it. You know, it's another dumb thing that I feel is highly overlooked. Being able to fit the bottle in there without a tube. You know, basically cutting the end off and you have that little pointy end on the gear oil bottle. You can actually fit that completely in there. You can see, you can actually reach your finger in if you want to check the level. You know, you fill it up till it runs out. You know, that's a pretty common thing on all differentials, but it allows you to be able to do that. You can reach in the hole, and once again, that is also an NPT plug, easy to replace if you have an issue. Obviously, we want to add some cooling, make that effective. We're doing the casting, the way we do the castings and the way we wanted the rigidity to be there. These are not only helping cool, but they're adding support to the diff as well. So you're kind of girdling the diff. They pass through to the inside. So that's kind of what you see in here. And we're also retaining, which this has been a thing lately, going over differential covers. It's been a thing where it's been talked about where you're concerned with fluid dynamics. So you want that fluid to actually pass around the diff cover and end up back at the pinion for lubrication, which is very true, and it's a very big thing. So, you know, you don't want the inside of your differential covers to be square because not good for fluid flow. So you want the pinion, or you want the actual ring gear to be able to grab that fluid and kind of curve it up around, get it back to the pinion, keep the pinion bearing lubed well. So those were all things that we took into consideration on top of the things we've already discussed. So, You're also gaining fluid capacity, you're gaining strength, you're gaining a nice simple seal. You don't have silicone now. Basic things, but are highly overlooked on everything else in the industry that's available. You know, we want to cover all those things that us as technicians and you guys putting on at home can almost feel more confident when doing the install. You know, knowing that, all right, if I got to service this later, it's easy to service. It seals well because it has O-rings. It has good capacity, but it's not too much. You know, that's the other thing. You don't need 400 quarts of fluid in your rear diff. It's just a waste of money. You don't need that much capacity. So these are all things that we've taken into consideration when designing these. Super solid product. We've been running it for about a year and a half now in testing, and been great. You know, we've seen fluid temperatures drop, capacities, working on it from a standpoint of maintenance, everything's easier. So very simple product, but at the same time, kind of complex. We're pretty excited. We're going to offer them in, as we do with some of our other cast products, we're going to offer them in raw. We're going to offer them in powder coated as well. We haven't decided yet on the colors, but more than likely it'll be that black wrinkle. We do include stainless hardware and all the plugs and O-rings to install it. So makes the install pretty easy. And yeah, so we're pretty pumped about this. These will be live on the site for you guys to get. And if you have questions on them, whether it be, you know, installation questions or why do I buy this over another one, our sales team would be more than happy to help you with that and give you as much information as we can. But yeah, so email us, call us. Yeah, we'd be more than happy to help you. So catch you on the next one.